Hey Google, play I'm Too Old for Toys.
Alright, here's Toy on Apple Music.
Hey Google, stop. Hey Google, play Too Old for Toys.
You're getting Too Old for Toys by Lieutenant Pigeon. Sure. Playing on Apple Music.
When I was young, my mother said, "Son, the time has come for you to find yourself a girl and start to have some fun." She took away my cowboy hat and my marching bugle boys. "Go find yourself a girl," she said. "You're getting too old for toys."
Hello, it's another Sunday. And another Gundam! But first, I'm going to do my Japanese homework whilst I'm waiting for people to join in this live stream. Knee,
The time has
knee, knee,
come to learn the facts
knee,
of life.
knee. What am I doing now?
Put away your little drum.
Hey Google, stop. I'm moving on to katakana after doing hiragana. This seems to be a bit simpler in the number of pen strokes. It's like 3 or 4 pen strokes and you're done. New, 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 new. Repetition. Is this really how we're learning in this modern day? Right. Burning Gundam. Let's have a go at you. First thing, I was thinking the old Burning Gun. I think in my unboxing video I kept referring to, I built the Shining Gundam before. No, I was thinking of the Burning Gundam. But in between the Burning Gundam and the Shin Burning Gundam, there was another one, which also had the characters on the shoulders. That one was called the Kamiki Burning Gundam? Kamiki? I don't have the Kamiki. But, okay, what I was trying to say was UV, ultraviolet fluorescence. It doesn't seem to fluoresce very much, this. Interesting that the clear parts still have the handles, etc. molded in. Reminds me of the old NG Victory. I do like having effects parts, but I prefer it when they like glow like crazy. And this one, maybe it's because of the satin prismatic coating that they've done on this one. I think it shields some of the UV light. It doesn't glow in the way that I would like it to. And the same for the blue. It's not really popping off into your eyeballs the way I remember the old kit would do. So that's a bit of a letdown. Coating, I'd rather do without it, to be honest. Maybe I can strip it off. Lights. And something that I did mention that I wanted to save to the review, actually, because basically if you're looking at this kind of thing and saying what you're thinking, you're pulling things out or you're repeating yourself for the review. I wanted to say, doesn't that look like the Master Gundam? That you can set his wings, wrap it around him. very much the Master Gundam. And oh, I like that he has a sword, and this sword effect, this swooping beam effect, which is pretty cool. However, if we have a look at the parts, look at the sword. The entire thing, including the handle, is made out of the same material. So you're going to have to paint that to look good, aren't you? And also an observation was the sword itself. The sword itself. What's it called? The Recreate Tachi's regular and energy out. So the sword is called Tachi, and if you look here, it's got a nice handle, it's got gold parts, and it's all silvery. But what are we given? This. It's all white plastic. Ugh. We'll have to work with what we're given. Hello everybody, happy Sunday to you. It's another lazy Sunday afternoon. Oh, actually, it's not afternoon here where I am. It's 10:20, and I have a bit of time to make a start on this. So thanks for joining me. Pop a like on my video. It helps the YouTube algorithm and for people to find me. And another observation with the stickers. Oh, it has eye stickers. Eye stickers and sensor stickers. Well, whatever. The entry grade doesn't need stickers. Why does this need stickers? Is it because it's an old kit? If it was 100% new and released today, as in designed today in 2023, unless you're watching from the distant future, would Gundam kit have any stickers? Oh, sorry for the whining noise in the background. That'll be the washing machine. Drop a like, pop a comment, let me know where you're from, let me know who you are. And occasionally I will have a glance over to the screen and give you a shout out. So, head first. But I think I'll shut the door for the room where the laundry machine is. That's marginally better. Okay, okie dokie dokie dokie. Hey Google, play Radio 4.
Streaming BBC Radio 4 from the BBC.
So somebody had dropped a comment to say that this is 99% the same as the Kamiki Gundam. Apart from the head or the V-fin.
Said unless we get mandatory daily cleaning back, there was no way that we're going to sign it. They were quite clever. They said unless there was a deal by sunrise on Friday, we are going on strike. And that deadline put a huge amount of pressure on the owners who were petrified that the whole of Las Vegas would go dark again. And so
how is everybody?
quite clearly a deal was necessary.
Thanks for dropping by.
That is now being agreed in principle. It now has to go to the members over the next 2 weeks. We think they'll say yes. What happens if they say no?
Yeah, Vickery, thank you very much for that. Time now for the latest sports news. Here's Paul Sayers.
Arsenal beat Burnley 3-1 at the Emirates to move into second place in the English Premier League. Alexander Zinchenko was on the score sheet for the Gunners.
So is it using the same head as well? I think so.
Last weekend's defeat against Newcastle.
I think this is the right way, to react on the defeats, because I don't know even one team who didn't lose. So what's the most important is, and what we should bring even more.
I added a pop filter to my microphone. Hope that makes a difference.
And I think we did it well.
Manchester United bounced back from their midweek loss at FC.
Oh, what I wanted to ask was, how do you discover my videos? And what I'm asking really is, I did a poll, and people asking people, what do you want? Do you want me to make a review of the 2 entry grades, out of the 2 entry grades? And you overwhelmingly said, oh, we want to see the review of the strike, the build strike entry grade from the metaverse. And immediately afterwards, I did a build video of it. And also I combined it with a review. So I kind of did both a build and a review. But it's in the live stream. So people aren't going to find it, are they? Or are they? Is it easier to find my videos as a video or that I post up as a live stream? It's the same thing. So should I do a separate video doing a review of the build strike thing? Maybe I should just edit some of my live stream into a more concise video to post a separate video, different from the live stream. I don't know. Answers on a postcard.
Cricket and England finished their World Cup with a win over Pakistan in Kolkata. Half centuries from Johnny Bairstow, Joe Root and Ben Stokes.
How's everyone doing today on this Sunday? Or is it a Saturday evening for you? Depending on where you are in the world. So like I was saying, this will be something a bit new for me, because I didn't do the Kamiki Gundam. I don't have a Kamiki Gundam. You know, I don't like building the same thing over and over again. Said the guy who's got a million RX-78-2s. But they're all different kits, aren't they? They're all different molds. It's not exactly the same kit over and over again. But there's been a sufficient gap between this and the Burning Gundam that we did that I don't mind if some of it's repeated. I think that's the reason why I didn't get the Kamiki Gundam.
The luxury ocean line at the
I don't like it when Bandai reuses molds immediately, like in the same year, several times in the same year.
This weekend, some Titanic memorabilia fetched a pretty penny at an auction in southwest England. Olivia
Right. Oh god, eye stickers.
Salmon, beef, duck and chicken. That's just some of the opulent offerings that were on the menu for first-class passengers aboard the Titanic. Completely intact.
Eye stickers.
It's a fascinating insight into what travellers ate on the 11th of April 1912, before the cruise liner struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sank. 1,500 people lost their lives. Andrew Aldridge,
I've got to keep an eye on the time. I've got to leave for my Japanese lesson
the auction house behind the sale,
today,
spoke to the
for this
BBC about how
afternoon.
it got a hold of the menu.
I was approached earlier in the year by a couple in Canada, and they were going through their father's possessions. He passed a few years before, and when he died, all of the
Nobody likes
possessions went into
wonky
storage,
eyes.
and they were going
Nobody
through
wants
various
wonky Gundam eyes.
letters, etc. And they opened up the page, and this menu staring out at them. 48 hours later, I opened the package, and I was like, OMG, this is the real deal.
There we go.
Completely unique menu.
Over the years, other tattered menus have been sold to keen collectors, including one from the last dinner served in the first-class dining hall, which fetched more than 118,000.
Hello, Badlander.
Hundreds of maritime items, including a tartan blanket that was recovered from one of
Did
the
I
Titanic's
catch that?
lifeboats, were
Put
also
user in
photographs.
timeout. No, I don't
A
want to
pocket
put the
watch
user
owned
in
by a second-class
timeout.
Russian passenger went for $120,000. But the Titanic
Live
menu was
chat.
in great condition, so bidders had to
Badlander
because it
outsider.
sold just over
Thanks for dropping a comment.
$1,000.
Olivia Otabo reporting. You've been listening to the newsroom from the BBC World Service with me, Rachel Wright. A reminder of the main news: the Israeli military
Faceplate.
has agreed to help evacuate babies from Gaza's Al Shifa hospital. That's all from me for now. Please do join us again at 5 o'clock.
This is the BBC World Service
Oh.
with a story that began on the ice rinks of Toronto.
Scope on
and
the
ended
tiny,
in Canada.
teeny, weeny sticker for the
Time starts
back of.
today, and I'm going to hear the
Which
same
one is that
words
then? Number
again.
10.
Yes, you're good enough. We wish we could take you, but you're a girl. We're back in the 1980s, and 12-year-old
Use a
Jessica
scalpel
Williams
for this
tried and
one.
failed to make it onto a boys' ice hockey team. The rules were holding her back. So, she took matters into her own hands.
Is there a lawyer willing to donate his or her time to fight this unfairness?
For some, she'd become a national hero. For others, the total opposite. I'm Cassie Campbell Pascal, double Olympic ice hockey gold medalist. As a girl, I was on the edge of this story, watching on.
Look how small this sticker is.
I'm taking a closer look.
Frozen Out, part of Amazing Sports Stories at bbcworldservice.com.
Hello, I'm Claudia Hammond. Health Check is coming up after the news, where we'll be asking whether it's really true that not getting 8 hours sleep a night is bad for your brain. We hear from a school in Islamabad where teachers have been trained to test their pupils for sight problems and to break down the stigma of wearing glasses. Plus the drug that can halve your chances of developing breast cancer if you're at high risk. And could a little more humility benefit all of us? Do join me after the news for Health Check from the BBC.
BBC News with Gareth Barlow.
Jesus.
Israeli military says it has agreed to help evacuate babies from Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa, where conditions have become desperate while fighting continues outside. A spokesman said the infants will be moved to the hospital on Sunday. Doctors in Al-Shifa say the building has been fired on. Israel has denied attacking the facility. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated that the war in Gaza will continue until Hamas is destroyed and all the hostages it's holding are free. Meanwhile, the British Prime Minister has condemned as wholly unacceptable actions by far-right groups and Hamas sympathisers demonstrating in 2 London marches on Saturday. Some protesters from a far-right march
Front camera sticker.
where armistice day events took place. Police have arrested more than 100 people and are looking for pro-Palestinian demonstrators who carried anti-Semitic placards. Spanish police have clashed with nationalist protesters outside the headquarters of the governing Socialist Party in Madrid for a 3rd night in a row. The protesters are angry about an agreement granting amnesty to Catalan politicians convicted over an illegal bid for independence in 2017. The Speaker of the US House of Representatives has unveiled a stopgap spending bill to keep the federal government open beyond Friday when current funding expires. The White House dismissed it as a recipe for more Republican chaos. The civil protection authorities in Iceland say an imminent volcanic eruption could heavily damage the southwestern
Gundam noggin done.
Tremors have rocked the region.
I'm really tempted to get some expensive nippers now. I'm a bit tired of this nub cleaning business.
People accusing them of downplaying the severity of climate change.
I've done it like this for years. Maybe I have to change my approach. It's just time consuming when I'm trimming nubs.
I'm Claudia Hammond, and with me today I have medical journalist Claire Wilson from New Scientist to help me dissect the latest medical stories. Now there is lots to pack in today, including the teachers in Pakistan screening their pupils for eye problems and helping to reduce the stigma of wearing glasses at school wear, especially for girls. And Claire, you've got some reassuring findings on sleep and brain for us.
Yes, we're always being advised to make sure we get a really good night's sleep, but some new research suggests that we might be worrying over nothing.
And you've also got some not so reassuring findings on what living through the COVID pandemic might have done to our brains.
Yeah, that's not such good news.
Come on, I know you're here somewhere.
So let's delve into that later.
Definitely.
Is it? H2? I'm looking at the wrong tree. Is it in one of these? H2? G2? Oh, no, hang on, it's red.
Used to treat breast cancer, but they'll be taking it to prevent it instead. So is this the first time it's been widely available for prevention anywhere?
Yeah, that's right. This drug can be used for prevention already in what we call an off-label manner.
Yes. Oh, it's over here.
It is licensed for the treatment of cancer, as I say.
Oh, I suppose it's a new jewel.
In this way, for
this was not a reused part.
If a drug isn't officially
Also, the back skirts are new.
This has now been approved by the UK Drugs Regulatory
Or is it?
Body, the MHRA.
Yep, 2023. And the front skirts and the shoulders as well.
So it's an by stopping the production of estrogen, the female sex hormone, and a lot of breast cancer cells, their growth is stimulated by estrogen.
So who would take it?
Now this is only applicable really for postmenopausal women, and that's because
That's a bit loose, isn't it? Oh, it relies on the jewel.
Your primary source of estrogen production are your ovaries, but after the menopause there are still residual amounts of estrogen being produced by your other tissues, say your skin, your fat, your muscles. So anastrozole wouldn't work if you're taking it before the menopause, because your ovaries would still carry on pumping out estrogen. But anastrozole can stop estrogen production by all those other parts of the body.
And how long would people take it for?
So in the trial they looked at people taking
Hello, lurkers.
5 years.
Who's lurking in the audience? I can see you there.
Their rate of developing breast cancer, which is a really impressive reduction. And the benefit continued even after they had stopped taking it.
And these were people who were at high risk of breast cancer?
Absolutely. So this
Head
would
done.
only be applicable for women who have a close relative, close degree relative.
Pop a polycap on him.
So that might be perhaps their mum or their sister.
Neck
This
joint.
is an amazing result, but there is a long list of side effects of the kind that are associated with the menopause. So things like painful, stiff joints, hot flushes.
I got another like.
depression,
Thank you.
arthritis, osteoporosis, all the symptoms that a lot of women are taking HRT for to try to...
Doesn't cost you
are
anything.
difficult to cope with. So I wonder whether everyone at higher risk of breast cancer...
Body,
put up
body,
with all
body,
those
body,
symptoms if they
body,
haven't actually
That
got
looks like
cancer
this
already. It's treating
space.
well people, isn't it?
You put your finger on it. So people are more likely to put up with these symptoms if they're taking it because it's a treatment for breast cancer. It's also...
And I got another like.
...being used as what they call secondary prevention. So this would be somebody who's had breast cancer, had it surgically removed, and they're taking it to try and make sure that cancer doesn't come back. But there's new use.
I remember these always like almost having a bit of an inner frame.
Exactly. It's women who they've not had cancer, they're taking the drug in the hope that they don't develop
Boob
cancer.
armour.
So that does make you a bit less likely
Boob
to put up with
parts.
symptoms if they are really bothering you. Although I would say, some doctors have said to me, well, it's worth women trying the drug if they fit into one of these categories, because you don't know how badly it's going to affect you. So you might find that it is worth it.
Yes, you could start and then you could stop again if necessary.
You could.
Well, thanks for that, Claire. Now let me ask you something completely different. Would you say you're a humble person?
Ooh. I think I would say, kind of on the spectrum of humility, perhaps I'm a medium humble person.
Oh, medium humble sounds quite good. Now, humility is not a word you hear that much these days. It makes me think of Dickens' character Uriah Heep with his oh so very humble sycophancy, or these days of the phrase humble bragging, where someone tells you just...
I'm using the wrong part, I bet.
So many awards,
B12.
voice on TV. But is the whole idea of humility undervalued?
I am.
Professor Darrell Van Tongeren is director of the Frost Centre for Social Science Research at Hope College in
They're
the US.
almost the
And
same,
the author
but they're
of
not.
Humble, in which he suggests that humility needs a rebrand because it can bring us real psychological benefits. Now, presumably, since he researches humility for a living, he is always humble, or maybe not.
I was giving an interview about some research I had done about dating profiles and humility, and I thought at the end it would be great to find out if someone who studied humility would actually be viewed by their partner as more humble. And so to set the stage, this was a Friday, and we don't live far from the beach, so I had promised that we were supposed to go to the beach.
Oh, here
So
we
we
go.
were supposed to go at 10 a.m.
It does fit in
We
after
interviewed
all.
at 10 a.m. and didn't finish till 11:15. My wife had been waiting. I come upstairs and I
This
say,
piece.
I'm curious how humble I am. and it's
The wrong one. We don't need that part.
Would you mind if I met you there? Because I'm going to go for a run. So do you mind taking all of our stuff off to the beach as well? And she says, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 4. And so I'm crushed.
Not very high.
And then she says, well, what's 10? Is 10 humble or not humble? And so I had some hope, like maybe I'd still be above the midpoint. I said, oh yeah.
Oh, polycaps.
She said, oh no, yeah, you're still a 4.
Now I'm wondering what humility really means, and I've been thinking
Two of
about other
these.
words. Is it, say, the
B
same as self-deprecation,
4.
or modesty, or the opposite of arrogance?
I like to think about humility as about being the right size. So not too big, so that ditch is arrogance, but also not too small in a given situation. And that ditch would be
2015, old
Another way we can
sprue.
think about it is our ability to know ourselves, to check ourselves and go beyond ourselves. So are we
Looking back, actually, I think I like the Kamiki Gundam. That ring of fire that he carries on his back.
in addition to our own?
Quite
So
fetching.
if we could all learn to be a bit more humble, what sort of difference do you think that would make to our everyday lives?
Well, I think one of the things that would happen is I think people would start realizing that we are not our ideas. We're also not our positions, we're not our political parties, we are more than that. Right? For me, humility comes with the psychological security of knowing that I'm already enough, I'm already worthy, and I'm already loved. And so I don't need to be as aggressive or as defensive to get other people to see the world in the exact same way that I do.
Which
So I
way
think
round should this
one thing
be?
that would happen is I think we'd start getting along a little bit better if all
Doesn't
of us
matter.
admitted that all of our beliefs contain some degree of error, or we're all kind of wrong.
Maybe it doesn't matter.
I think the second thing that would happen is our relationships, interpersonally, within families, at work, would get healthier.
What's happening?
Because we'd
I'm
be
hearing some
okay saying,
beeps.
I made a mistake, that was my fault. And we'd be able to give other people the grace when they made a mistake, because we'd realize we too have been in situations where we've made mistakes and we've messed up.
Who?
Yes, I want to talk about work a bit. I think it's interesting, this idea of being more humble at work, because, I don't know, if you're too humble at work, won't you never ever be promoted, while other people who might be happier to push themselves forward are going to get those things?
Yeah, the research does suggest that if we can balance our confidence and humility together, being the right size, not downplaying our accomplishments, but speaking about them correctly and accurately, and doing so humbly and without being conceited, I do think it is benefit to us at work.
And people may be interested to hear that humility can actually make you more...
My headset is running out of battery.
We did this study where we had people rate what they
Looking
thought
at
were
power
these
bank.
dating profiles.
D11.
Crafted one such that it was the exact same, except
Old
the person was a
parts.
little more arrogant, and the other one, they were a little bit more humble. But we asked them, how attractive do you think this person is? How much would you want to meet this person? Do you want to date with this person? Share your phone number? And overwhelmingly, people were much more likely to want to meet, date, go out with, and find attractive the humble dating profile individual rather than the arrogant one.
And in your book, you say we have a tendency to think we're above average at things, and driving is the famous one for this, that most people think they're an above average driver. But in a way, I was thinking, is it better people thinking that than that they're terrible at everything and being hyper self-critical and that making them miserable?
A lot of these self-perceptions where we overinflate our ego, these are what the researchers call positive illusions. And so there are some huge benefits. So if I think that I'm making a meaningful difference, if I think I'm above average, I'm going to pursue goals that might be otherwise outside of my reach. I'm going to really strive. I'm going to have significant accomplishments and achievements. But there's a dark side to that. And the dark side to that is when I think I'm so above average that I receive feedback that I'm either decidedly average or, dare we say, below average in some area. The problem is we tend to react defensively. We become unwilling to listen, we become aggressive, and we kind of shut off that part of our response system. So it makes us stagnate.
I've forgotten about these.
Attuned to the feedback that really
It's got a
could
ball
help us
joint
grow
inside the body
I really like one example
and
you
a
give of being
double
humble, which is to
cupped
say that
poly
you don't
cap
know sometimes,
for the
or
shoulder.
to say that you haven't heard of things, and you talk about pretending to some
So
clever
it
friends
is-
of yours
he's gonna
originally
do,
that you'd,
like,
heard of every
windmills
or, when
with
you
his
haven't.
arms.
And in fact, people love it if you say you don't know, don't they? Because they can explain it to you, and we all like that.
They did, and this was an area where I just felt so insecure. And so, I'm an academic, and so I thought when I'm around all these other academics, I should just know, right? And so they were talking about all these really smart and important things and people and writers, and for a while I was like, oh, I've heard of them, and I felt like a fraud. I was. And then I just decided to say, I don't know. And it felt so much more freeing, and like you said, they said, oh, well, let me tell you about this. Well, here, let me grab this book, you can read it. And it really opened up my mind. Just admit I don't know. That's so freeing, because I don't have to pretend to know things that I don't, and I can actually learn a lot by allowing other people to teach me.
So how can we cultivate humility? We see all these benefits. How can we become more humble?
Well, the first thing we do is we have to seek feedback. So as much as I didn't want to hear what my wife had to say about my humility being a 4 out of 10, I probably needed to hear it, because it was right. She had a better view of my humility than I did, especially at that moment. The second thing is when we get that feedback, we should ask a trusted source.
Oh, I saw a
someone
comment.
who's gonna tell you the
Dr.
truth, not someone who's appreciated you, who's just gonna
2OXX Windmills. Are you teasing the reverse?
When they give you that feedback, don't do what I did.
It's the Nether Gundam. Did you like my video on the MSIA skeleton skull Gundam? I did start off making that video rather low energy. It'd been a long day after work. Oh, I've got to do this. I posted up a video asking people, do you want to have a look at the Skull Gundam? And everyone said yes. Lots of people overwhelmingly said yes. There was the other one. What was it? It was Neo Malaysia versus Neo Singapore. And Neo Malaysia won out with the Skull Gundam. So at the end of the day, I thought, oh, wow, lots of people voted on that, over 100 people. So I better knock this video out. So I was a bit tired at the end of the day, a long day at work. So it starts off very low energy, I must admit, when I was editing it. But as I started going through it and getting the figure out, that it's just such a laugh. So much fun. It did cheer my day up. Well, the evening. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I enjoyed making it, ultimately. Ooh, C-clip. A front C-clip. This is really nice. I've forgotten how good this is. MSIA. Very underrated. There are too many underrated Gundams out there.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I was wondering what would be the perfect humble score to have, though. Is it 10?
Right. All right. It's nice that Bandai are coming out with reimaginings or retoolings. Do you call that? Or, no, it's like a completely new kit. They've got a Rose Gundam. Although it was P Bandai only. So I think they know that there's a limited audience for those kits. But at least they're doing it. And they're coming out with the Neo America one, aren't they? The Maxter? The Boxer? The Boxing Gundam? Street Fighting Gundams. But, you know, what about the Mermaid Gundam? They've already done kits. You can already go out today. Oh, could you? Well, historically, there is a Maxter Gundam out there. There is a Rose Gundam out there. Are they particularly good kits? No. But have they ever come out with a kit of the Mermaid Gundam? Why don't you do one of those in a P Bandai instead of, you know, rehashing ones that you've already got perfect? I can't say they're perfectly good Gunpla kits, but yeah. I'd love to see a Skull Gundam model kit. Or a Matador Gundam. Is it Toro Gundam? I've got a Toro Gundam. Do you want to see a Toro Gundam? Let me see.
And they were things like being lonely, being a bit depressed at the beginning, excess alcohol intake, and lack of exercise. And of course, I'm sure we all remember those were often things that did happen during the lockdowns.
And all of those things would make sense in terms of what we already know about the brain and how things like a lack of socialising at all can make it decline faster.
Yeah, all those factors have been separately identified.
Check that out.
Factors for you're more likely to have mild cognitive impairment and also dementia.
This is the American version. An MSIA Toro Gundam. In the box.
Yeah, we don't know. We need longer-term studies to find out. I was quite surprised by
There's
this
no
result.
there's no G Gundam on the back, but
by the amount, so
no, they're all winged ones. But I want the G Gundam ones. I don't know how that label got folded in there. But he's still in the package. Should I break this open? Should I cut this open for a video? The Toro Gundam. I'll have to do some research about the history of this guy.
And definitely, as you say, see what happens over the longer term. Do people kind of catch up or go back to?
I've even got one of these. Mint in box. Never opened. I did get it originally. This is years and years ago. I mean, look at this. It's 2000. Does it have a date on this? But I have looked at the date for this one. I think it's 2003 or 2004. So we got the Noble Gundam or the Nobel Gundam.
In some countries, it's worth
And God Gundam. We've got loads of God Gundams. I mean, at the time when I bought this, I was thinking, right, I've got to have the Noble Gundam. This is the only way you can get the Noble Gundam. You can't get it any other way. They didn't have any model kits, so I bought this. And then they came out with a Noble Gundam high grade, which is disappointing to me, to be honest. It certainly devalues my toy purchase. But should I open the Toro Gundam for a video? Or should I wait till next year for another Halloween? Not very, apart from being a Halloween costume, it's not very Halloween related, is it? Cow. The arch, yeah, they've even got a real grade. Like, they've got a really crappy grade God Gundam. They've got high grade God Gundam. They've got real grade. How many do you need? Right, we don't have any model kits of the Toro Gundam. We want a Matador Gundam. P. Bandai, I hope you're listening.
The government of Pakistan have a long relationship with non-profit organizations or NGOs like Sightsavers, who run.
I think having an unboxing for the Toro. Well, I'll have to combine it into a review, to be honest, because just an unboxing would be, I think, a bit pointless. Just an unboxing, because it's just cutting a blister pack open, isn't it? I don't think it has any instructions. And the Japanese ones, they have like some instructions. That's an American one.
And this initiative, which is taking place in more than 400 schools in Islamabad.
2Old4Toys getting excited about his toys. Did you notice the blister pack was all yellowed? I wonder if it was worth anything, to be honest. I think I bought it for like $5 US on eBay back in the day.
Manahil Shahid is the young girl who I watched go through this screening. She told me how she first noticed something was wrong with her sight.
Manahil Shahid. Hospital में जब करवाई थी तो उस time इतना problem नहीं.
So yeah, I love the pivoting of the shoulders and the chest. I'm holding out for Tequila Gundam. I don't think we've even got. Do we have a mobile suit in action figure for the Tequila Gundam? I don't think we have. So that's even more rare. We don't have it in 3D form. I like to have things in 3D form. There's loads of mermaid Gundams, have you noticed? It's like the mermaid, the fishy one that I did a review of years and years and years ago. There's predecessors that there's like things that look like shrimps and things that look like stingrays, and they're all variations of the mermaid Gundam. They flashed on screen and then were gone. What time is it? I've got a bit of time. I'll do about an hour of streaming and then call it a day.
I know it would be a challenge for me by my classmates. Usually
Lots of love for G Gundam.
I'll face it.
Because they had so many different designs. It's just awesome. You can't call them boring.
I sit with the person at the center. Taiba Kamal is the girl's teacher and has taught for the last years.
That Devil Gundam needs redoing.
First of all, most of the girls.
Although we did get a very good mobile suit in action for that, I think. Hello Dante, how are you? Try finding the Tequila Gundam on eBay. But did they actually make a figure of that? Or is it just my imagination that they never released it? I don't think I found a video of a Tequila Gundam figure.
If a child come to you with a problem that someone from the class is teasing her,
If YouTube will allow it, put a link in the comments.
what was your reaction?
Yes, we have dealt these cases also. Girls, classmates, siblings, and friends. These are girls that you are wearing the glasses. You are not looking good. You are not looking pretty.
So it is very effective for the girls to provide them free screening, free refraction, and obviously free glasses without any payment, without any cost. Their problems has been sorted out.
The hope is that as the project is rolled out in more schools, family will see how glasses have helped their children, and glasses will become more commonplace in the classroom. It's something that is already happening in this school, as student Anam explained to me.
Earlier, I was the one who used to tease others for putting on the glasses. But now I myself suffering from it and I know how important it is. I won't do it anymore.
बाकी स्कूल्स में भी आनी चाहिए क्योंकि सब बच्चों को है कि अगर आइज वीक है तो वो करें ताकि आपके
Obeyed Ahmad Malik reporting. Now, Claire, before we go, there is just time to talk to you about sleep. Now, there's been this idea around for a while that if you don't get much sleep, it has a serious impact on your brain and might even shrink you. So getting between
Shrink your brain?
is really important. But now there's some new research which seems to run a bit counter to that, really. What have they done?
Yes, this was a huge study that's looked at this question. There were several components of the study. The first one I think is interesting is it looked at the correlation between the number of hours sleep people got per night and the size of their brain.
Can the people in the stream actually hear the radio, or is it just me?
Research, even just in the past decade, suggesting
I can imagine it could be extremely annoying if you just can't hear what's happening on the radio.
Clearing your brain of toxins overnight, which can help prevent Alzheimer's disease, and in fact is necessary to prevent Alzheimer's disease from occurring. So in this study, they found that the amount of sleep that people got that was correlated with the largest volume of brain and the least risk of Alzheimer's disease was 6.5 hours.
Which is shorter than we might
Much
expect.
shorter, yes. So that's very surprising. And, you know, all the advice that you get tends to be, oh, you must get at least 8 hours, maybe even aim for 9 hours sleep. So 6.5 hours, yeah. I think people can relax a bit.
Zeus Gundam
So there was another part to the
was
study.
awesome too.
This looked at the question
Thank you,
in a slightly
Dr.
different way.
2OXX.
Some of
Yes, I
the
agree.
people also had their DNA sequenced, and that allows you to look at the question.
Some of the battle-scarred ones. Oh, Mummy Gundam! I want the Mummy Gundam. I want the battle-scarred Mummy Gundam.
People tending to sleep either for short durations or
Very, very much sought after.
look at the question in
Wow,
that way. So,
you need some sleep, Dante.
with brain volume. You find that people who are genetically predisposed to have a short sleep don't have any problems with their brain volume. So this suggests that it might just be a correlation. It might not be that short sleep is causing brain problems or Alzheimer's disease. It might be that people who have smaller brains just need less sleep. Or maybe having a smaller brain causes you to
Oh
have less
dear.
sleep. But there's nothing pathological going on. It's not a disease process.
But don't we know that getting
A custom tequila Gundam.
Well, you're right.
But no
I mean,
official.
there's
Yeah,
lots of
well,
advice
there you go.
that you should have a good night's sleep for a reason. We know that if you only go to bed very late,
We
or
want
get up very early,
a sombrero Gundam.
you feel crummy, you might
Sombrero wearing Gundam.
or you might just feel grouchy, do your work less well. So obviously, I'm not advising anyone to deliberately just think, right, I can get away with only 5 hours sleep. But the scientists who did this study did say that it does.
Powers that be in Bandai.
And some people
Make it
argue it's
so.
the quality of sleep that matters, not how long you're doing it for.
Ah, yes. So other kinds of studies that have been done on animals or perhaps.
I ordered a P-Dan Band. P-Dan.
It's not just sleep.
P Bandai kit very recently.
Kinds of sleep. So
Should come in December.
brain typically tends to cycle through different
Yeah,
stages
exactly.
during the night.
You need more sleep.
It's called slow wave.
If you don't sleep much, that means get your head weighed.
Tends to occur more during the first few hours.
People with small brains don't need as much sleep, allegedly, if you believe that. F10.
So thank you
First
very much, Clara,
clear
for
piece.
joining us on Health Check from the BBC
Ooh.
today. And thanks to the producer Jonathan Blackwell and our studio engineer Emma Hart. I'm Claudia Hammond. Do join me next week for more stories from the world of health.
This is the BBC World Service with the story of the Raspberry Visa.
5 years of working in a field to get the EU passport.
We are in Portugal reporting on the hardships of Nepali workers in raspberry fields. working from so early in the morning. There are days when we get
I like
back home and
raspberries.
there's no energy in me to even lift a glass of water.
The Raspberry Visa at bbcworldservice.com/documentaries or wherever you get your podcasts. In 60 minutes, from our own correspondent.
Bali is attracting
You know
thousands of
what?
Ukrainians fleeing the war. There are digital
I think what they're trying to do
and people who fundraise for
with this
Ukraine's war effort. So
coating
along with
on the clear
Russians
parts.
come in even bigger numbers, also to escape the war.
Can you
This is the
focus?
BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
They're trying to give it a bit of a glittery look.
This is the
Like
BBC
a
World
kind of a
Service
satin
Manager
sheen
World Questions today is all
over the clear part.
This South American country
I think that's their intention.
for its rich biodiversity
Because what we have here,
and the world-famous
if you look closely at the box art, there is a bit of glitter in there. A very fine
by drugs cartels which have moved into its borders. Last month,
shimmer.
Ecuador elected a new president, the billionaire businessman
Little speckles.
who at just 55 will be the country's
But if the net result means that it's dimming the fluorescence of the material, I don't want it. Thank you very much. Why didn't you spray it on the inside or something?
electricity rationing and power outages.
Not on the
Join me
outside.
and four prominent politicians and analysts as they take questions from the public in Ecuador. That's World Questions. The Israeli military
do an
says
arm.
it has agreed to help evacuate babies from Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa, where conditions have become desperate as fighting with Hamas rages on the streets outside. A spokesperson said the infants would be moved to a safer hospital on Sunday, but gave no other details. Here's Paul Adams from Jerusalem.
H2, the new
The
sprue.
Israelis seem to be recognising that the situation surrounding
So he's got
Shifa
new
and some of the other
shoulders.
hospitals is unsustainable.
Oh.
That the danger to gravely
Is that just one
ill
half?
patients inside is simply too great. So
One of his
yesterday
shoulders is
announced-
new.
Israeli announcement that they will assist in the evacuation of a number of small babies from the Shifa hospital to what they describe as a safer hospital. We don't know where that is.
Say the building has been fired on Israel.
So what's the difference between the new shoulder and the old one?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated that the war in Gaza will continue until Hamas is destroyed and all the hostages.
Oh, there's a little C
free.
clip.
In a televised
The old one.
conference, he rejected
That
criticism
isn't here.
from President Macron of France. Leading scientists investigating
Oh, from the old
global warming
one.
say they're facing
Oh, I
increasing
see.
levels of abuse
I'll
from
have to
people
take another look at
accusing
the
them
old
of
Kamiki
underplaying
Gundam.
the severity of climate change.
It seems to be that
Researchers
the old one only had one circular shoulder pad, whereas they added another circular one. I'm sure the Kamiki Gundam had these characters, the round motif on both shoulders before. Maybe I'm misremembering.
For the
D15.
first time, these experts are telling us they're being attacked by those who say they're downplaying the issue and not reporting on how bad climate change really is. Several have told us misinformation spread on social media is fueling the level of abuse they receive.
And a
They said they
polycap.
shouldn't be attacked
Pop in a
for doing their
polycap.
jobs.
The Republican Speaker of the US House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, has allowed a stopgap spending bill to keep the federal government open beyond Friday when current funding expires. The White House has dismissed it as a recipe for more Republican chaos. Chinganyok reports.
Republican Congressman Johnson is proposing an interim budget that expires in stages early next year, allowing Congress more time to agree on a longer-term funding plan. Then he will need the support of both
Dropped it on the
Republican
floor.
House and the Democrat-led Senate to pass the bill and avert a crisis, a shutdown of government programs next week. Democrats and some members of his own party reportedly
Wish they'd
prefer to
undegate
debate a
these,
single
but of
bill
course this
first
is an
over
old
the
sprue,
staged
isn't it?
process Johnson is proposing as
Isn't
he
it?
pushes for more debate on certain funding programs.
World news from the BBC. Spanish police have clashed with nationalist protesters outside the headquarters of the governing Socialist Party in Madrid for a third night in a row. The protesters are angry about an agreement to pass a law granting amnesty to Catalan politicians convicted over an illegal bid for independence in 2017.
If I do like
Police in Colombia said they've detained
Gundam
4
kits with lots
suspects
of
over the kidnapping of the
fluorescent
father of
clear
Liverpool
parts.
football star Luis Diaz, who was
If I
freed later.
manage to
Luis Manuel
find,
Diaz was held hostage by Marxist
is it
guerrilla
beginning
members for
Gundam
12 days.
30 or
He
something
says
like
he
that?
was well cared for.
There's one with all sorts of beam effects coming out of it, green oval things coming out of it. If I get I'd love a clear version of that.
I was going to be safe.
An Expo
I was a humble
special.
and fair person in my town, given the work I do here.
If I can get hold of
They
it.
said they were going to do
There is
everything
one.
possible so that I could be released soon. I saw it, I experienced, and that's what I felt. They did everything in their possibilities for me to be released yesterday, not with my family, and also to make sure everyone in Europe and all my family and myself.
Hello, my audience. Drop a like. Let me know you exist. Not just my imagination.
Authorities in Iceland say they fear an imminent volcanic eruption could heavily damage the southwestern coastal town of Grövik. It's more than 3,000 residents are in temporary accommodation. Measurements show molten rock over the area is moving upwards at an increasing
7 as well.
Late on Saturday, it was less than 800 meters from the surface. And a lion that had been roaming the streets of an Italian town near Rome
I
has
think I'll
been
definitely
sedated
skip the
and
Kamiki
captured.
Gundam now I have this.
Authorities of Ladispoli said the animal had escaped from a circus.
It's probably, it's building the exact same thing over again. Part for part.
Residents had been told to stay indoors. BBC.
The Great Armory blob on the other side apparently. Oh, at the beginning.
I'm Johnny Diamond, and welcome to World Questions, the programme that puts people and their questions.
I think there was an Age.
This month we'll be hearing questions
Gundam
and
Age.
answers about Ecuador. This
I think it was Age FX as well. That also has like very multicoloured and lots of clear parts on that too. Very spiky, I remember.
Biodiverse landscapes, Amazonian rainforests, and of course the world famous Galapagos Islands. But the murder rate in Ecuador quadrupled between 2018 and 2022, an increase caused largely by the drug trade and the violence it brings. Now the country is in the grip of an unprecedented
If I stick that
crime
there-
which has seen a rise in not just murders but also kidnappings.
Well,
and
is the nub covered up?
widespread
Nub mark. I don't want to expose nub marks.
a new president, the billionaire businessman Daniel Noboa, who at just 35 years old will be the country's youngest ever leader. Can this politically inexperienced newcomer tackle the powerful
So if I use this one instead, the nub will be at the back.
until the next election and no majority in the National Assembly? And what of Ecuador's unique environment and its economy? In August, citizens voted to ban oil drilling
Look out for
in the
things
protected
like
area of the Amazon rainforest, a move celebrated around the world by environmental activists. But what will replace the lost revenues and create new jobs for young people? There's plenty to talk about, and with us to take questions, hopefully to give us some answers.
So that's
on the future of
definitely
this
the
extraordinary
no,
country
that's the
is our
back.
panel. Andrea Gonzalez Nada is an environmental activist, entrepreneur, and politician. She's in Quito, the country's capital. She ran
Lots
for
of sad
vice president
stories.
in the election
What sad
earlier this
stories?
year, but in August, her running mate was assassinated after leaving a campaign rally in Quito. Welcome to the
Hiding nub
program.
marks
Very
on
good to have you here.
Hi,
clear
Johnny.
part
It's a
kits.
pleasure to be hearing the
I think will
questions
be
about this paradise, as you say, that
tricky.
is Ecuador,
If it's designed
and
well.
how
Oh,
long
okay,
should
that's
we
fine.
wait to get out of
Because
the problem we are right
the
now?
nub mark is hidden
Guillaume Long
inside
served as
anyway.
Ecuadorian Minister of Foreign Affairs
So,
and in other ministries in the
good.
government of the
Good
Socialist
design.
President Rafael
Good design.
Correa between
I
2013
like
and
it.
2017. He joins us from Paris, where he now works for the Centre for Economic and Policy Research. Welcome to you, Guillaume.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for coming.
Is when they take a kit.
Canada.
Oh, okay, that's not so good.
And joins us from Quito, though he's usually based in the Ecuadorian
So no matter if I swap the left and right, that both, you see that big nub there? It's not hidden by anything. Why don't they undergate these things?
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. Here to answer all the questions.
And finally, Maria Solborg
That's hardly
is a political journalist. She joins us
transparent at
from
all.
Quito. Maria, thank you very
can't
much.
see in
Last but
there.
very much not least.
Thank you for the invitation.
Let us go straight to our first question. Jose Yanes is an Ecuadorian currently living in New
It's
York.
not glowing, is it?
Drug cartels have infiltrated a once very peaceful country.
Is my
The
lamp
right-wing agenda
rubbish?
has decimated the public sector during the
No,
past
I'm sure
6
that's
years,
the part
and
that's
austerity
that
will
fault, to
surely
be honest.
continue with Daniela Ward. How does this government intend to fight crime?
Jose, thank you very much indeed. Straight to probably the biggest topic, certainly in the recent election. A little bit of context, the murder rate.
Yeah, just the one circle. So I think the Kamiki gun just has the one circle on the shoulder. So this is already better than that.
Up again this year. It's driven by drugs violence as cartels
Reaffirming my
use the internet
purchases.
to transport drugs. Andrea Gonzalez Nader, you're an activist and a politician. You have first-hand experience of the violence that racks Ecuador, don't you?
Hi, well, this has been progressive. The way they have been admitted inside the country, the way the human rights work, preferably for those who have a connection with corrupted judges, it's already taken over. Ecuador is at the brink of turning itself into a narco state. It would be naive from Ecuador to think that we alone can stop the international traffic of drugs and all the power that they actually have, because in Ecuador they do not only traffic drugs, they also traffic timber, species, shark fins.
Is it going to be very tricky to put that sticker in this round
the law system, because
housing here?
May I stop you briefly? Because
It's going to mess up the orientation.
one of the big questions has to be after the election whether people believe that the new president can actually achieve this, whether he has even a chance against these almost overwhelming odds.
These elections were incredibly extraordinary, not to be, because at the end of these elections, most of the candidates proposed almost the same steps that had to be taken according to the experience of other countries, because we cannot work on this alone.
Okay, I should say the reason that the current president only has 18 months in office is because the last president dissolved the National Assembly rather than face a vote on impeachment, and that automatically triggered an early election. Guillaume Long, former Minister of Foreign Affairs, the question is, how does the government intend to fight crime? I'm not sure whether you know the answer. You're not responsible for the government, obviously, but whether you have faith in the plans there are to fight crime.
Well, I don't know how much faith I have, but I have hopes. There will have to be an array of policies. The person asking the question was talking about austerity. Clearly, the austerity that Ecuador has lived through in the last 6-7 years of massive cuts, of neoliberal reform, sort of rolling the state back, has been
So this is definitely the right shoulder.
come back in with public policies, with security policies.
I want to
with
stick the
clearly
sticker on,
arming its police and with
but there's nothing helping me with the orientation.
and doing all the things that the state should do to guarantee the safety of its population. But the security policies themselves are not going to be enough. You're going to need to go back to social policies because, of course, we know crime and organized crime.
Is there anything to help me with this?
It's important to note that post-pandemic, Ecuador has been...
If it's a bit wonky, it's going to annoy me.
...economic recovery since the pandemic in South America. So it's not an incident that the big sort of crime surge, the narco surge in Latin America, the biggest, I mean, it is in boost the regional economy, but the biggest crisis is right now in Ecuador. And I think the great challenge of the new government is to create some form of national unity, to have a parliamentary majority, which it doesn't have right now. This is going to be very important for him to actually put an end to the kind of really challenges that lie ahead.
Thank you very much. It should be said, President Noboa won by, I think, 300,000 odd votes. It was a very, very small margin over his opponent. Leo Carrera, campaigner and environmentalist. How does the government intend to fight crime, or how should the government fight crime?
I think one of the first things that the government
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
mining concessions, because there is a direct link with the new mining concessions and the narco and how money laundering is involved, and that has, with the exacerbation of natural resources, how that is impacting the communities in the Amazon. The fossil fuel destruction,
Good.
the mining concessions. We also have a direct link with what is happening with violence, murder, and money laundering networks. In Esmeralda, the government has no power whatsoever, and the mafias have taken over.
Have a quick look at the comments that we've
had. In
had.
the Amazon, they have been working in different provinces with the impact on indigenous communities. So I think there is a huge commitment.
Narrative too. Sad story.
Regulate
but lots of
concessions
narrative.
put pressure
You're
on
talking
the
about the Unicorn Gundam,
with the police, with the
right? The
military,
Unicorn narrative. I've never watched that. I've not watched that yet. Something I should look forward to.
that is no longer going to happen, because what is
Junior
happening
did
right
get me.
now
He did do some queuing up at one of the events, and he got me the one where the unicorn has like crusty green gems coming out of the cracks in his armor. Not built that yet.
Maybe.
Don't know anything about the narrative.
The real
Gundam
will
narrative.
to make it, to stop fighting one party against another, because we're all the time hearing this is because of the government of Lenin Moreno, this is because of the government of Correa, and this is people is tired about that, because and the fact that Daniel Noboa won the election shows a little bit of this mood, and I think it's important to understand too what does mean all the organized crime in the ordinary life of people. If you see the data, migration to the United States increased 800% between January and August of this year compared to the last year. That shows how this impacts people, because when kids can't go to the school because they are shooting next to the school, you know that it's a real impact in every day. It's not just something to say, I will work with cooperation. It's
17.
fine. He needs cooperation, but he has to give answers to
Anything.
medicine
What's that
hospitals,
say?
food in
Just gonna
schools,
go
and
backwards
he
and
has
have a look
very
at what.
small time to do it, 1.5 years.
Anything on your wish list for future master grades? Anything you wish Manda would make a master
What do you
grade?
think is the best way?
I think Mr. Long hit it in the nail when he talks about public investment. You know, if the kids don't have an education,
So long as they
don't see a
bring out
future,
more kits, I don't mind what they make, as long as it's
take advantage of that, and of course,
hopefully not something that's already existing.
it's all interconnected.
Right, if you
and
already have a model
the
kit,
lack of spending
even though
is
it's
really
crap,
astonishing during the past two governments.
don't just re-release it over and over again. I know RX-78-2, RX-2, and Unicorn Gundam. Oh, you get Unicorn Master Grade version, and then you come out with the version 1.5, and then the version the Vercar, and then MGEX. You know, give us more mobile suits which haven't seen the light of day in master grade form before, and I'll be fine with that. Have they just released another Zeta Gundam in master grade form? Why do we need another master? Wasn't the Vercar one already all right before? Wasn't that a Vercar before?
And I think this is a great opportunity for the government to invest in a just transition, into giving new jobs, but also how to create energy projects that are autonomous to local.
I'm sorry if I miss your comment, it's because I'm not always looking up.
Hydroelectric. You need to invest in local community
And I need to find a way to
energy resources, local,
review
solar
the
panels,
comments
you know. This is the time in which the government has to listen
after
to
the video's gone live and posted.
invest in capacity,
I don't know, sometimes I'm a bit lost with how to navigate YouTube. Is that how do I replay the live chat that was, you know, going during the live stream? Sometimes, yeah, I can't find these options.
Hydroelectric electricity, which is called Coca-Cola Sinclair.
And I'm just a one-man band here. I don't have anybody helping me.
Used to give the news about the more than 7,000 fissures that this mega
Apart from
project
maybe
has costed more
Mrs.
than
2Old4Toys
3,000
occasionally
but still
berating me.
working
So, why
at
have you
the
done that
next
video
issue.
yet?
And it's
Oh, I
also
want to eat
becoming
those
a clear
cookies. Why don't you
danger
open
for
them?
all the natural resources that surrounded it. Many scientists say that it's responsible for the disappearance
I suppose that
of
is a help,
the
really.
highest waterfall that Ecuador used to have.
Otherwise, it would be
the
left
San
unopen
Rafael Fault.
indefinitely.
So there's a problem because we invested so much money in building this utopic hydroelectric plants that will not work while we are a country that has 12 hours of sun every single day of the year because we are situated in the equator of the planet. And it's also good for the government to stop being the subsidy of fossil fuels, adding to climate change, and start subsiding the transition instead of the fossil fuels.
Thank you very much. Maria Solboja, the question about is the electricity crisis that I presume is a huge problem for you personally and professionally.
Yes, agree.
Yes,
Master Grade Tequila. That's a bit of a stretch. It's a tall ask.
And now I know that for today we have like in this place where I am now from
Out of nowhere comes the Tequila Gundam.
But tomorrow we don't know, so you can't even plan what's going to happen. This is not only a problem of big industries, of big entrepreneurs. This is a problem from people in every day when the light goes out and you can't use the refrigerator and your meal will, so.
I understand. Thank you very much indeed. Guillaume Long, your government stands accused by Andrea Gonzalez Nader of putting all your eggs in one basket, of putting too much emphasis on hydropower, which is now...
Are you sure that's 15?
Yeah, I don't want to be the defender of the Correa legacy here.
It's not 15.
I think we have to transcend that moment and have the political maturity to try and think of the future. However, Correa left office in 2017 with 5.8 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants. We're about to have 40.
Let's talk about electricity and your thoughts on it, if we may.
This is important.
I appreciate
that. The same with hydroelectric, the electricity situation. You had the Correa administration who inherited power cuts in 2009, and then no more power cuts. Lots of infrastructure for the production of electricity, and we actually became an exporter of electricity. And we had 93% of our electricity coming from non-fossil fuel. And now here we are, a few years later, and we're back to the electricity cuts. So what's happened since? There's been a lot of incompetence, a lot of lack of public investment in infrastructure that was built and that needed maintenance, and a lot of the political game of blaming your predecessor, which unfortunately is ongoing. I think we need to leave that behind and wish Noboa luck and help Noboa to try and solve these problems for sure.
Let me go back to our questioner. Vanessa, you're in Ecuador, you presumably suffer from these power cuts. Do you have thoughts as to why they have come about?
Well, thank you for your thoughts on this important issue. I think that there are droughts, yes, in Ecuador, but the problem is in the whole region, right? And it's not that the other countries have.
See.
Vanessa, thanks for your question.
21.
Thanks for your contribution. You're listening to World Questions from the BBC. Let's go to our third question. It comes from Juan Carlos Garcia, who works in tourism and travel in the capital Quito, but happens to be in London on business at the moment. Juan Carlos, welcome.
Thank you. Is it possible for the new government to reestablish cooperation with the USA to once again not only provide surveillance, but strengthen Ecuador's anti-drug activities throughout the country? How would a geopolitical move like this be possible in Latin America, a region where the USA has been losing political allies?
Thanks very much, Juan Carlos. It's worth mentioning, and we're not playing the blame game, but it is worth mentioning that the President Rafael Correa told the United States to leave the base that it had in the port city of Manta in 2008, and that was enabled Ecuador, many say, to keep an eye on its maritime exclusion zone, a huge maritime exclusion zone. This week, President Noboa has been in Washington, D.C. They're not seeing members of the administration there, as far as we're aware. Guillaume Long, can I ask you, first of all, Foreign Affairs, what you think of the idea of re-establishing cooperation with the United States, perhaps allowing them to re-establish the base that they had at the port city of
Security relations with the US had been re-established. There was a big U-turn under the Moreno administration.
I do like with the build
This has been ongoing under the
fighters. You get so many hands with them. All these kung fu hands, karate hands, jazz hands.
with Southcom, with military cooperation, police cooperation, intelligence cooperation with Ecuador. I think right now the situation is so out of hand that probably it is going to be very difficult to be able to resolve this problem without a close security relationship with the United States.
What about the issue, forgive me, what about the issue of that military base? Because you'll be aware some analysts point to that
Oh, I've got to...
part of the reason.
Do I have enough time? I think I've got enough time.
Of the state.
Right, finish this hand.
So there are two issues.
I'll finish this arm even.
There is a new constitution since 2008. And,
I like these knuckle dusters.
Established Ecuador free of foreign military bases. So this is a constitution ratified in a referendum, the will of the people by 2009.
Right.
United States had to meet.
Still need a few more parts. C11, C10.
Narcotics off the coast of Ecuador. And I think it played a much more geopolitical role. They also played a role in the Colombian conflict. It's a complex issue. We could have a long conversation about this. But constitutionally, there can be no foreign military base, but you can have other forms of security cooperation. But let me just finish on this point. You can have all the international security cooperation in the world, but if you don't have a serious stakeholder in
Oh, I got another like on my video.
to strengthen your military.
People who are watching, if you haven't already left a like, please leave a like.
If you can't get the narco criminal organizations out of your security apparatus,
That's all I ask. Right, I think I can put this arm together now.
A very sharp increase in U.S.-Ecuadorian security cooperation.
Guillaume, thank you very much. Andrea Gonzalez, NADA activist and politician.
Well, the
C21.
assassination of Fernando Villavicencio has opened the door also for a new kind of work between the FBI, the United States, and the policemen from Ecuador. But I do believe that taking the base from Manta was a hard hit, especially for the coastal provinces. We're talking about two indigenous etnias that come from that part, which are Cholo and Montuga. They're mainly fishermen. They live in communities, and ancestrally they've been so pacific and so peaceful. But now they are the main targets, are the hot place, the hot spot, where the most amount
I did
of
notice the
violence, and of
hands
course, where
are
the
very
drug is
expressive.
really found.
Yes, you
have to
see.
remember something, in Ecuador,
Unlike the
if
witch.
the drug doesn't
I've
come
still
out
not
of
built
the coast,
anything from the witch from Mercury.
now they can take anything from our coastal area. Ecuador is a relative small country, and we've used most of the energy in the frontiers of Colombia and Peru, instead of doing all the intelligence we need to do in the coastal area, where is the part where the drug goes out. So there you have these communities totally defenseless from the biggest guys and the baddest guys in the world being left alone. And yes, the Manta base was really important because that forbidden them to do what they're doing now in that area. As it was said, because of the change on the constitution.
Very nice
now we
little
have
gauntlet.
This concept of sovereignty.
I'm sure that's exactly the same as the Kamiki
supposedly
one.
we cannot have any international military base here from any country, but China has practically owns most of our country. So I don't believe that the change in that constitution made us more sovereign country, actually left us defenseless.
Thank you very much, Andrea. I mean, it's worth noting Ecuador is not itself a huge producer of narcotics, but it has turned into an enormous transit point for narcotics moving to the rest of the world. Juan Carlos Garcia, you asked the question about cooperation with the United States. What do you think?
I think there's a direct correlation between the absence of surveillance and the increase of drug trafficking, especially at the coast. I just hope that the new government can do something. But I also agree that we don't depend just on the USA. We need to take stronger policies and actions. I work in travel, and the image of our country has been deeply damaged by what's going on. So I hope this new president comes strong with hard action and quick action.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your question.
Oh,
Thank you for your
polycap in the right
we
way.
will pause for the news. We'll be back with our Ecuador panel and more questions for BBC World Questions very soon.
Yeah, another thing that I remember from now It's bringing it all back to
BBC
me.
World Service, asking the migrant berry pickers of Portugal
Rats.
if their journey to find a better future is worth the price.
In 2017, raspberries
No, I haven't done it
from their
wrong.
bushes due to a lack of pickers. The following year, the government in Lisbon introduced the raspberry visa, a piece of legislation which allows the migrant to enter a path to citizenship through 5 years of work. But recently, there have been allegations of exploitative working conditions.
It's been over 2 years since we started
Ooh, where's the
working on this
peg?
story. We wanted to find out if so, how
A9.
and by whom.
Rarely anybody
Almost done for today.
Working from so early in the morning, there are days when we get back home and there is no energy in me to even lift a glass of water.
5 years of working in a field to get the EU passport.
The Raspberry Visa at bbcworldservice.com/documentaries or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the BBC World Service. I'm Johnny Diamond, and
Yeah, man,
you're
I love
listening
the...
to World Questions, debating the future
Look
of
at that. I
So
wonder
far, we've
when the
discussed
next part
chaos
for
the drugs
Hathaway's...
trade has brought,
I've not seen that either.
and the country's relationship
I've
with
got so
the
many
USA.
things to look forward to.
Next, we'll debate protecting one of the most biodiverse
Yeah, look at-
places on
look
Earth,
at that.
renewable energy, and where the jobs of the future will come from.
Look at how flexible the wrists are.
Straight after the
And,
BBC World Service News.
as Dan to say, very expressive hands.
The Israeli military says it has agreed to help evacuate babies.
There we go. I got to go for my Japanese lesson.
Where conditions have become desperate as fighting continues.
Ah, right. What did I learn last week? Days of the week.
As water and power have run out.
Getsu
Says Hamas is operating from tunnels underneath it.
ka Getsu ka
Sunak has condemned far-right groups and Hamas sympathizers
Suyi
rival demonstrations in London on Saturday.
Moku
300,000 joined a pro-Palestinian march where some individuals dressed up as Hamas fighters or carried anti-Semitic placards. Spanish police have clashed with nationalist protesters outside
Kai?
the headquarters of the governing
Ken?
Socialist Party
K?
in Madrid for a third night in a row.
Moku
The protesters are angry about an agreement
Ken
granting
Ki
amnesty to Catalan politicians convicted
and then
of
Do
independence in 2017.
Nichi.
The Speaker of the US House of Representatives has unveiled
That's
a
Monday to
software
Sunday, I think. I think I messed up Friday.
beyond Friday
Is it
when
car?
funding expires.
Ken or Ki?
Listed as a recipe for more Republican chaos. Elections
Bye, everyone.
in 3 Nigerian states have been marred by
Bye.
violence.
Leave a like.
Police were deployed
I need to
in
finish you
Florida,
so I
said
can do a
the
review.
states backed up by
Bye. Have a nice Sunday.
The civil protection authorities in Iceland say an imminent volcanic eruption could heavily damage